What is up, Ravens flock? Welcome into another video. This is Jordan from Ravens Flash Report. Today I'm going to be bringing you my recap and breakdown on the Ravens' 31-24 victory over the Arizona Cardinals this past Sunday. So we're going to get into the stats of some of the key players. We're going to also get into some of the accomplishments of the offense and the defense. We're also going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that the Ravens need to clean up, because we're starting to see some more of those inconsistencies and some of those issues that we saw earlier in the season. And they're ones that are eventually going to start to bite the Ravens in the butt. So we're going to go over all of that and more, but for now, let's get to it.
They're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that. I'm a Raven. It's on. All year. Every year.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and kick this off. We're going to cover some offensive stats to start. Lamar Jackson, 18 for 27, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, sacked 4 times with a passer rating of 94.2. Rushing, Gus Edwards goes 19 attempts for 80 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, and his longest run only went for 10 yards. Rashad Bateman had the one jet sweep to the left, so he goes 1 attempt, 18 yards. Lamar Jackson, quiet day on the ground, 5 attempts, 17 yards, his longest being a 13, so you take that out, he's 4 for 4. Justice Hill, 4 attempts for 15 yards. So kind of a quiet rushing day outside of Gus Edwards. We'll come back to him. Receiving, both Justice Hill and Mark Andrews ended with 4 receptions for 40 yards each. Mark Andrews had that touchdown in the back of the end zone. Bateman, 2 for 2. 34 yards. His longest was that 29-yarder where he saved Lamar from getting picked off, basically. This game was a confidence booster for Bateman. He wasn't as involved as I'd like him to be, but they're getting him, more involved again. So 2 catches, 2 targets. He had that run for 18 yards as well, so good to see him getting back involved in the offense. Zay Flowers continues to have the highest target share. He has 7 targets, 5 receptions, but only for 19 yards. So, felt a little forced. There's a couple guys that felt a little forced today. Gus Edwards, 2 for 14. His longest was for 9. That little flip play by him was very Lamar Andrews-esque. I'm glad to see another guy out there that is giving Lamar some street ball vibes where he can really count on him to kind of make a play. Isaiah Likely, good to see him get a catch. Seems he's going to go probably quiet now for another 2 or 3 games, but he did get 1 catch for 10 yards. Aguilar targeted once, no receptions. Beckham targeted 4 times, no receptions. He did have 3 defensive pass interference, which did help the offense get set up with better field position, but my view on the helmet slam, which when I first saw it, I was like, oh, great, the media's going to eat this up. But the more I thought about it, more so than anything, I think where that comes from is he's not necessarily worried about his targets anymore, and I think he's more like he wants to prove himself now, right? He wants to show people coming back from the injury, I can still be a productive weapon on an offense. I can still help a team to achieve great things, and I think that's where his frustration comes from. Yes, the penalty is nice because it helps the offense, but you want to be actively involved, and seeing that 4 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards, that's probably eating away at him a little bit. He wants to have that breakout game. He wants to get that touchdown score, and he just wants to contribute. And so I kind of feel for him a little bit there. But let's get back to Gus Edwards real quick. Career day for him, 3 touchdowns. That's great. First Ravens running back since Mark Ingram to have a 3-touchdown day. And the thing that I wanted to say mostly about Gus Edwards is he's been on the team since 2018, undrafted rookie, and he's always been second fiddle, sometimes third fiddle, depending on how you look at the whole Ingram, Dobbins, Edwards type of breakdown. But I think this felt like the first game, even with Dobbins getting injured in the Texans game. But this is the first game that I feel like Edwards was actually treated as the number 1 running back in this team. Because it always seems like, yes, he might have the most carries, or he might have the most yards, or the highest yards per average, or maybe even the most touchdowns, rushing. But it never really felt like the game plan was centered around him being the number 1 back, and this game definitely felt like that, and I love that for him. The rest of the rushing attempts only equaled 10, and he had 19. So he basically doubled the rest of the field, and he also doubled their production. So really, really good to see that. I want to see that continue. I think we're going to need it against Seattle. So let's get to the defense, because there's some good things and some bad things. The first bad thing that I want to cover is tackling on the first drive, and realistically in the run game, tackling, if your name wasn't Pierce or Matabike, not great tackling, to be honest, at least early on. Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith did end up with 11 tackles total. Queen had another tackle for loss. He's just an absolute demon this year. Everyone's talking about Matabike getting that money, and I understand that middle linebacker is not going to get the same amount of money that a defensive tackle like Matabike doing what he's doing is going to get. But Queen, he's going to get paid. He's making a case right now to be the number one inside linebacker on this team. Not the leader maybe, but him and Smith, Roquan, they're neck and neck as far as production on this team, which I don't think a lot of people would say at the start of the season. Kyle Hamilton notches 10 total tackles. This is his first double-digit tackle day of his career, so shout out to him. He had a tackle for a loss as well, and another pass defended. He was great against tight ends, as he always is. I love him in that role. But even though Marquise Brown scored the touchdown over him, I really felt like his coverage was very sound. And I think asking a 6'4" safety to cover Marquise Brown in the red zone, I think that's a lot to ask, and I think he was admirable. I think his coverage was great. He's just not as fast as Marquise Brown, which is pretty much true for almost everybody that's out on that field. Maybe true for everybody out on the field. I don't know. It would be fun to line up Lamar, Zay, and Marquise for a race. All right, so the next guy I want to talk about, Brandon Stephens. So Brandon Stephens continues to be an excellent corner for us, an excellent player who has worked really hard to get where he is. He had an interception, his second on the season, one pass defended, and overall great play by him, continues to have great play. I know everyone was a little bit concerned going into the season. I was one of them. I was like, well, we'll see. Maybe Jalen Armour-Davis can step up, or maybe Rock Ya-Sin. Haven't needed them. Brandon Stephens has been the guy. Marlon Humphrey, I don't know what's going on with him. He didn't record a single statistic. I'm looking at this whole stat sheet here. His name is not on it. Marquise Brown caught a couple passes over him. I don't know what's going on with Humphrey. Geno Stone, 5th interception of the season. He is still number 1 in the league. He has 4 tackles, 3 solos, 1 interception, 1 pass defense. So again, just another great day for him. He did miss 1 tackle early that I saw that Queen ended up cleaning up, but if he misses 1 tackle and it doesn't go for a touchdown, but then he intercepts it in another pass later, that's fine with me. I'll take that trade. Matabike also looked good, got another sack, got another tackle for loss. He continues to be extremely disruptive in the middle. Let's talk about Michael Pierce. So I won't say he's the most underrated guy on this line, because Broderick Washington is a good player. He's not at the same level of physicality that Pierce is. He's a great run stopper, just like Pierce is. But Pierce, I think his last name is quite apt for this, he is actually surprisingly good at getting into the backfield, and he was when he started with Baltimore. I think that was the thing that made him so good in rotation, or even if they were on the field at the same time with Brandon Williams, because Brandon Williams was the ultimate run stopper. If he got his hands on you, you weren't going anywhere. And Michael Pierce, I always thought, was good at that, but I feel like he was sort of almost a Matabike type of get in the backfield kind of guy, right? He was always surprisingly good at getting in the backfield for his position. But overall, rest of the day, the defense, 17 points in the fourth quarter is not great. I did disagree with some of the refs' calls, or no calls in some case, which I know I disagree. Like, okay, they're asking me. But the strange McBride touchdown where the line is going, and then it stops, the pile stops, and then it gets pushed back, and everyone's kind of like, okay, the play is over, but then they start pushing again, and then it goes in for a touchdown. That felt really, really odd. And even Marlon Humphrey, you can see on the replay as they're showing it from the end zone, he's like throwing his arms up like, what is happening? Why are you continuing the play? Like, that should have been blown dead. So, interesting decision there. The onside kick to Aguilar, I think it was a bad play by him. I do. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You shouldn't let it bounce. And he learned his lesson on the second one, and we're lucky that he was able to. Because I said before that even happened, I'm like, they're going to go right back for him. I was like, before they even lined up, I was like, please tell me Aguilar's at least in a different spot. Nope, he's right there again. I mean, he did, like I said, he got the job done this time, but I was just like, please don't mess it up again. So, overall, it was kind of a weird game. Felt weird the whole way. The team stats, we were not fantastic. I think that's part of the reason why it feels weird, is because it felt like, at least to me, with Gus and with how our defense was, I mean, Gus gets 3 rushing touchdowns. Lamar throws a touchdown. We're 4 for 4 in the red zone. Defense gets 2 picks. It kind of sounds like a dominant Ravens win. But Arizona won the time of possession battle. More total yards. They had 43 more passing yards. They had 1 less rushing yard. They had 1 more first down than us. Same amount of penalties. We had the 2 picks. They had none. And Lamar got sacked 4 times. We only sacked Dobbs twice. It should have been 3 times, but Odafe Owe decided that he wanted to try to throw Dobbs like a discus instead of actually just falling over while holding on to him. I just look back at that one and I'm like, that and the Clowney fumble were just like weird defensive plays. And what I think this game comes down to is this game is sort of a microcosm of the season's inconsistencies, right? I feel like this whole season has been nothing but inconsistencies. And whether it be play calling or execution issues, coaching decisions, it just felt like there hasn't been a lot of consistency with this team. We'll do something great, and then we'll do something terrible. And then we'll do something okay, and then we'll do something great. And it's just, we're all over the place. And I know that consistency is hard in the NFL. It really is. But I would like to see a little bit more of an effort to run the ball when it's working, get creative with the spread offense to get more people involved. And I know that's probably what they were trying to do at the start of the game, so I can't fault them for that. So we're on to Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be at Baltimore Sunday, November 5th, 1 p.m. So tune in for that. I'll be coming out with a preview video here soon, in the middle of the week. But happy and safe Halloween. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you all again soon.